This weekend, I was walking through the Marais, and from a distance, I could see these giant black flags and dark purple lights coming from the facade of the BHV, and it felt very sinister compared to the very festive decor in the shops and the department stores around the BHV. And as I got closer, I realized that I was right to feel a little bit uneasy because these giant black flags were announcing the imminent arrival of Shein to the BHV in the heart of Paris. Hi you guys, it's Arielle. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. I hope you're all doing well. Today we're going to be talking about Shein, their very first physical retail store opening not only in France, but in the very center of Paris at the BHV. In today's video, I'm going to explain exactly what's happening, how we have come to this grand opening of Shein in not only France, but Paris. I want to talk about the media response as well as the responses we've received from the Shein representative in France and the owner of the BHV. And then at the end of this video, I will hopefully take you to the opening of Shein, which is happening today at 1 p.m. I want to see what it's like, what the shop looks like, the physical products, but I'm also very curious to know how the public is reacting. I would anticipate that there will be protests. There have been protests all the way up until today, and I think that there will be a lot of media coverage from the French news. Essentially, I want to take you out and I want to show you that. I'm hoping we can go in. I was reading on the door, like they have these stickers on the doors that say you have to get a ticket or something to go, so we'll see, but that is my hope for today's video. Now, before we get into it, I do just want to say that I hope you guys know me, and you know that my values don't align with Shein in any capacity. So I do have my own bias in reporting on this story. I am someone who truly values shopping local, shopping artisanal, shopping sustainable, and certainly shopping from companies and brands that value their workers, that pay a living wage, that have safe working conditions, and that create products that are safe for the consumer. A lot of reports have come out sort of denouncing Shein in all of these capacities, whether it comes to unsafe or even inhuman working conditions, materials, clothing materials that have been tested to ultimately contain carcinogenic and toxic chemicals in them. And of course, as Shein is this ultra fast fashion company, they are extremely detrimental to the environment. So I just will always prioritize quality over quantity. And actually in the pinned comment of this video, I am going to leave a couple stores around the BHV that I would recommend that you go into instead. I myself will be boycotting the BHV. Of course, I have to go in today to show the store, but I will no longer be shopping here. I won't be going to the restaurants here. That's my decision, and if you feel similarly, then hopefully the resources I'll provide below can be helpful. But yeah, let's get into today's video. So on the 2nd of October, La Société des Grands Magasins, or the Society of the Grand Stores, more commonly known as the SGM, announced that Shein would officially be opening their first physical retail store in the BHV. On the 31st of October, they announced that the opening date would be the 5th of November, so today, and that Shein would be occupying the entire 6th floor of this department store, which is 1,000 meters squared of shopping space, or I believe 10,800 square feet of shopping space dedicated to Shein. And this is only the first of many Shein stores that'll be opening in France. SGM announced that there will be 7 other locations. We have them coming to Dijon, Reims, Grenoble, Angers, Le Mans, Orléans, and Limoges. Now, there is a subtlety to the expansion of Shein across France. Initially, these 7 stores were intended to open in Galeries Lafayette in these different cities. However, from the get, Galeries Lafayette has been against Shein being brought to their department store. And the subtlety is that SGM owns the Galeries Lafayette buildings in these different cities. So from my understanding, SGM essentially pays to use the name and the likeness of Galeries Lafayette. But on the 4th of November, it was officially announced by Galeries Lafayette that they were ending this partnership and that all of these stores in these 7 different cities would have to change their name from Galeries Lafayette to BHV, for example. I thought this was important to mention because up until literally yesterday, it was reported that Galeries Lafayette was welcoming Shein, and that really is not the case. So why did Shein choose to open their very first retail location in Paris? The answer is twofold. I think the first reason, and the most obvious reason that was given, is that Paris is the capital of fashion, and France in general is highly influential on the fashion ecosystem. And Shein has said that they want to be a part of this ecosystem. I think as well, and it's very obvious, that operating not only in Paris, but in one of the most historical and beautiful department stores at the very heart of the city lends a certain level of credibility to Shein, which they wouldn't otherwise have. Now, the second reason that Shein chose France is that they have a huge customer base here. 1/3 of the French population shops at Shein. They have 25 million customers in France. Shein is the 5th most popular brand in this country, which honestly really surprised me. Now, there of course has been a lot of backlash, and you can see this especially not only with the protests, but in the interviews. Like, a lot of the time, news channels or reporters will host either the representative of Shein for France or the owner of the BHV, and they will ask them these hard-hitting questions and really push on all of the reasons why this is very controversial. And when it comes to the representative for Shein in France, he really pushes forward this idea that Shein opening will be beneficial to the economic ecosystem in Paris and really any city where Shein touches. He's very adamant that Shein will bring a lot of foot traffic, and this foot traffic is a younger, more connected and international generation of shoppers. And what he says is that they will come downtown, they will come into the mall, they will do their shopping at Shein, and it will have sort of this trickle-down effect on all the surrounding businesses who will benefit from all these consumers coming in. There's this one story that he tells in all of his interviews about how when they did this pop-up in Dijon, this Shein pop-up, he actually had a local businessman come in and tell him that he was so grateful for Shein because thanks to the foot traffic, he was able to surpass his monthly sales number. Now, this representative never spoke about other businesses. We have no idea who this business owner was, but he really does rely on this one interaction that he apparently had to sort of build his storytelling about how Shein will benefit businesses in France. Now, what about the BHV? What does the owner have to say? The owner's name is Frédéric Merlin, and just coming to you as Arielle, watching his interviews is hard. He comes off as extremely arrogant, extremely sure of himself, and I do think it's a little tone deaf to completely ignore all of the different issues people are raising about Shein coming to the BHV and to France. So it is a hard watch anytime I have to sit through his interviews, but he repeatedly defends working with Shein. He says he trusts the company, he trusts the products, and he says that he's trying to link the world of online shopping with in-person shopping. And what I thought was really interesting is that he sort of brings this arrival of Shein back to the roots of the BHV, because the BHV stands for the Bazar de l'Hôtel de Ville, which is the bazaar of the city hall. And to him, including Shein in their department store, represents a new era of the bazaar, represents going back to what it was initially intended to be, a place where every type of Parisian could come to shop. That because Shein does have such accessibly priced pieces, a new clientele will feel welcome shopping in the BHV, and that is essentially what the bazaar represents, is inclusivity and catering to all forms of Parisians, which I think at its core is a very positive message. I am all for inclusivity, but I don't think that you can scream and shout about inclusivity for French people at the expense of destroying the environment and very poor working conditions, very low quality garments, low quality and potentially toxic garments. So while I do completely agree with the messaging of being inclusive, I don't think that Shein and the products they offer is inherently inclusive because their prices are so low. I think that prices as low as Shein offers obviously has to come at the expense of someone or something in the supply chain. And to me, that's not true inclusivity. The owner of the BHV also relishes in the controversy that surrounds Shein coming to his department store. I'll put a picture or a video on screen that shows the giant poster that he put up at the front entrance of the BHV, which is a picture of him and the owner of Shein, and the text that's written says, "The poster we shouldn't have made." So he is acutely aware of the controversy surrounding Shein coming to the BHV, and he has said in interviews that playing into this controversy is a sales tactic for him. Now, 2 days before Shein was meant to open, so 2 days ago on the 3rd of November, Shein was hit with a pretty big controversy in France. It was reported that on their website, they were selling lifelike dolls of very, very young children, of girls made of silicone, whose target consumer is pedophiles. And we know that these dolls were or are intended for sexual use because of the description, which I'll put on screen and you can read yourself. And this was a huge scandal. Like, this is extremely dangerous, unethical, and people were very rightly concerned that a company that would sell this type of product on their platform is coming to France, coming to the BHV. And since this news broke, Shein has removed the doll from their website, or at least removed it being accessible to French consumers. I believe they have committed to giving the French authorities the names of all the people who purchased these dolls. And despite this controversy, the owner of BHV is still going forward with the launch date today. I will give the explanation that he shared because in his interview, he did say that he spoke with the owner of Shein. The owner of Shein was very apologetic. Of course, they have removed these dolls, that it was an error, that they're trying to increase the review process for items such as this being listed on their platform, because essentially Shein works in a way similar to Amazon, where people can, it's like a marketplace, so people can list products that they want to sell on Shein, and the products don't necessarily come from Shein itself. So that was the issue with this doll, is that another retailer posted this doll on the Shein website and it slipped through the cracks and it ended up for sale. Now, in terms of like quantifiable backlash against Shein coming to the BHV, there were, I believe, 12 brands who have decided to leave the BHV in protest. Disney also ended their partnership because Disney was supposed to do the holiday window display, so that's not happening anymore. And there is a petition that's been signed by over 110,000 French people against Shein coming to France and the BHV. So that's what I can say at the moment in terms of the backlash. I think we're all waiting to see, because this is either going to be extremely beneficial financially to the BHV this holiday season, or it could swing the other way and be completely detrimental to their brand, to their history, and to their own credibility. So we'll have to see. And I think the first way we can do that is by seeing what Shein looks like today on opening day. So I took the line 1 to Hôtel de Ville, and as I got closer to the department store, you could see many people in line to go into Shein on one side, and many protesters and journalists on the other, separated by police and barricades. I took a spin around and realized that every single entrance had police protecting and controlling entry into the space and into the BHV itself. Around back, I found a boutique called L'Appartement Français opposite the BHV, which is proudly made in France and had opened a little pop-up in protest of Shein. I decided to hop in line, which was an experience in and of itself. From this side, I got to see the protesters and City Hall, and there were 2 banners hanging from the windows protesting Shein's arrival. After 47 minutes, I made it halfway, and the rest only took me 15. After a quick bag check, I collected my ticket and headed up to the 6th floor. As someone who's never ordered clothing from Shein, I didn't really know what to expect, but holding the garments in my hands for the first time and seeing the materials used, I was honestly a bit surprised that so many people wanted to shop at Shein. I had just never in my life seen clothing of such poor quality. Nearly everything I looked at was made of polyester, polyamide, or acrylic, and honestly, I found the prices unreasonable for how terrible the quality was. Take this 100% polyester winter coat, for example, at 70 euros. This is 20 euros more than what I paid for my vintage wool and cashmere long coat. I think as well that it's quite jarring to go through all 6 levels of the BHV to get into Shein. I say this because from floors 0 to 5, you're drawn in by the warm lighting, the cozy atmosphere, the wooden and stylish shelving, the high quality products, and the visual merchandising that inspires creativity. And then you get to the 6th floor where the walls are painted black and the overhead lighting was fluorescent white. The clothes are on those cheap metal racks and all of the pieces are visibly of a lesser quality. I had anticipated that the Shein store would follow the same decor and setup as the rest of the department store, and the reason for this is that I thought they would really play into the more luxurious feel of the BHV to gain points in credibility, but I guess not. Well, that is an experience I hope I never have to repeat. Standing in line and being in the store was definitely really interesting because I got to hear all these different interviews that journalists were doing with people who were shopping or who were excited to shop at Shein. And every single interview, they asked the exact same question, which was, why do you support Shein? Why, despite X, Y, and Z, do you still purchase at Shein? Or why don't you prioritize other brands or made in France? And the answer to this question was the same. Across the board, every single person brought up the cost of, I guess, the cost of living, but also the low cost of Shein products. And they kept saying, like, I'm not rich and rich people should stop poo-pooing Shein because that's all I can afford. And I have to say that I really don't agree with this line of thinking. Now, I'm not anti-consumer. Like, I'm a consumer myself. I do some shopping from time to time. But I think that saying you support Shein because it's cheaper than more ethical and higher quality brands isn't really an honest take. Because number one, you could very easily thrift pieces. You could use any of the secondhand apps like Vinted in Europe or Depop in the US, and you could find clothing at comparable or even cheaper prices that are much higher in quality and more ethically made. So even today, for example, I'm wearing a Shein cardigan, a Shein wool cardigan, a Cezanne wool cardigan, and a Monoprix silk and wool tank top, both of which I bought secondhand. And even if you've seen any of my Vinted haul videos, I recently purchased an haute couture Givenchy wool skirt, and I got that for 40 euros, which is the same price as a polyester cardigan from Shein. So for me, that's my first answer, is if you're looking for affordable, there are so many easy ways to access secondhand fashion. Like if you like the idea of having something be sent to you, use an app. If you want to find unique pieces, go to a thrift store. And in Paris especially, there's markets, there's brocants, there's thrift stores. Like there is a number of ways that you can shop affordably without shopping at Shein. Now, let's say you don't like shopping secondhand, you don't like to wear secondhand clothing. I still have other solutions for you, because you cannot convince me that ultimately, in the long run, it will actually be more affordable to buy disposable clothing from Shein versus spending a little bit more, buying something that's better made, higher quality materials that's going to last you years versus lasting you a couple days. And when you have to keep replacing the low quality clothes you buy off of Shein, then it is just going to be the same price, if not more expensive, than buying that piece once, but of a higher quality. So those are my 2 cents on the issue. I feel like you guys know that I have made countless thrift hauls and vint hauls. Truly, I want to say 99% of everything I own is thrifted. I think I was just really shocked because now that I finally come face to face with Shein clothing and I've seen the prices, which to me are unreasonable for the quality of garment, but I don't really understand why it's such a popular brand, why I waited an hour to get into this store. But yeah, I'd be very curious to know your thoughts down below in the comments. I hope this video was interesting for you. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you guys have a great evening.